All right, and hello. Welcome once again to the Disability Law Show. John Scholes here, Sivan Tumarkin there. We are so glad you've joined us for this half hour. We got so much to get through on the show today, including what you should and should not do if you are denied long-term disability. That is in a little bit. And I want to give you some reach-out information right away to get a hold of Sivan and his amazing crew all across the country outside of Quebec, right? 1-855-821-5900. help@disabilityrights.ca. And I'm going to we'll talk about this during the half hour for sure, but there's a website called LTDFAQ.ca. What's it for? It's for you to learn stuff all about LTD. There's a number of topics. It's all in boxes. It's like Lego, super easy to navigate and read, anonymous and free. You can go there anytime, LTDFAQ.ca. Okay, we're going to get to that in just a bit, Sivan, but we always start off with a matter you've been working on, a week that was, pal. What do you got?
The week that was, John, well, I mean, it's going to come as no surprise to you that people continue having issues with insurance companies, long-term disability insurance companies, but at the same time, especially now with the way the economy is and the discussion about going into a recession, people are having more and more issues at work as well. And that's not something, it's not something new, right? People calling us when they have issues with work because we have employment lawyers, and when they have LTD issues, they call us as well.
Sure.
And one of the common issues, and something that's come up several times this week when I've spoken with people from, again, across the country, same issues, is that they've applied for long-term disability for coverage because they can't work because of psychological issues, and the insurance company denies their claim and says, no, it's situational as opposed to generalized.
Okay.
And what does that mean?
Right.
I mean, for people out there, that's just legal lingo or medical lingo or whatever that is. It's certainly not lingo that we use day to day. And so here's what that means. When an insurance company denies your long-term disability claim on the basis that it's a workplace issue, what they're saying is that it is an issue with your employment. So what they're telling you is either go and deal with your employer or go and deal with WSIB, WCB, basically workers' compensation, because it's a work-related issue. Now, sometimes they're correct. Sometimes you are dealing with an issue that prevents you from working. You've developed some kind of a condition, a psychological condition, depression, anxiety, something like that, that prevents you from working. You simply are unable to work because of that condition. You have a doctor, a psychotherapist, psychologist, someone that says, yes, you cannot work. Here's where the insurance company is wrong in many instances. When you have a situation where it may have developed through a toxic work environment, a bad boss, bad colleagues, whatever, now you've developed a condition, let's say depression, which is not just specific to your workplace,
right.
that now you simply are depressed. No matter if they took you out of that workplace and put you in a different workplace, in a different environment, you still cannot work because you're depressed. That means that your condition has become generalized. It's not specific to that workplace. Once it's generalized, once it's outside of your workplace, well, then at that point, the insurance company must respond to the claim. They must approve your claim. It's no longer specific to the workplace. But the insurance company doesn't see that. And sometimes they do see that, I think, and they still choose to say that they'll deny your claim on the basis that it's situational. It's specific on the situation, the work situation. And our good friend and my partner, James Fireman, likes to say, long-term disability insurance is not bad boss insurance, or it's not a toxic work environment insurance. And he's right about that. But in a situation, again, where, yes, you may have had a toxic work environment, but now you've developed a condition, a psychological condition that transcends that particular work environment, that now applies to you generally, no matter where you work. At that point, it becomes a generalized condition as opposed to a situational, a specific workplace issue. And at that point, the insurance company must pay, but they don't. And that's when people come to us, and then we work on their behalf. And so this happened, I think, about 3 or 4 times this week. People called me, having been denied by their insurance companies long-term disability when I've looked at the documentation, I've looked at the medical records, I've looked at everything they've given me, and you could see that it's no longer just a workplace issue. It's now a generalized condition, so the insurance company ought to have approved them. So we're going to be able to help these people, but it's a nuance that insurance companies often ignore or just don't get.
Well, I mean, you were on the dark side at one point. You worked for an insurance company. So when everyone's sitting around this round table and saying, "Okay, here's how we're going to attack this one," I mean, is there thinking that the average person, not knowing the difference, is going to say, "Oh, I guess they're right. It did happen at work. It must be not generalized. I have no choice."
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, what happens in many instances is people are. They don't just basically take whatever the insurance company says as gospel and believe that it's true. They try to apply for workers' compensation. Workers' compensation turns them down, and now they've been turned down by workers' compensation. They have a work environment that's toxic or a boss that's toxic, and you have an insurance company that says we're not going to pay you. And so they're stuck between a rock, a hard place, and another hard place. And what we're saying is that we can help you. First of all, we can help you with the insurance company because we can force them to pay you. Not workers' compensation, but your LTD insurer. That's what we do. We're very good at that. Our lawyers have been very, very successful in those cases, and so we can force the insurer to pay you. The second thing to understand is if, in fact, this was caused by a toxic work environment, there may be an employment issue that our employment lawyers can help you with. So we can potentially put money in your pocket, not just from the LTD insurer, but also from the employer, if, in fact, what's happened at work rises to the level of constructive dismissal.
Right. Well, you mentioned that half of the firm doing the employment side, Sivan. Pocket Employment Lawyer, there's a website you can use anytime. We talk about it a lot on the Employment Law Show, but I want to bring it up here as well because it factors into what you do every day as well, right?
Yeah, Pocket Employment Lawyer is a website that was designed and created by my partner, Samfiru, and he had some input from us, disability folks of the firm as well. And really, it is a free website, and it customizes the answer to whoever is using it. So it doesn't store any of this information, but let's say you have an issue with your employment or with your long-term disability, because oftentimes there's an interplay between the two. As we've discussed, right? You can have a very bad work environment, you have an issue with your boss, with your company, and at the same time, you're denied LTD or you're having some difficulty with your LTD insurer. You want to get answers. You may not want to call a lawyer. You may not want to contact a lawyer. You're Googling it. The problem is when you Google this stuff, you're going to get a lot of bad information.
Big time.
You're going to get US websites. You're going to get websites from other countries which are not applicable to us. You'll even get websites from lawyers within Canada that not necessarily give you the right information. And so we've created the Pocket Employment Lawyer, which deals not just with employment, but with long-term disability, again, because many people experience issues on both sides. Mm-hmm. And this is free, it's anonymous, and if at the end, when you get your answer, which, by the way, takes a few seconds, if you want to contact us for a further consultation, just click the button. Otherwise, close the browser, and we will never know you were there.
Again, pocketemploymentlawyer.ca is how you get to that website anytime, as Sivan just mentioned, free and anonymous. So spend some time in there. Email to send along anytime. Your email may appear on a future show. If not, it'll be read by the crew and you'll get a response either way. help@disabilityrights.ca. First one for the show, Sivan, comes from Thea. Says, I love this question, you get this all the time. Is it illegal for an insurance company to watch you using a private investigator while you're off work on long-term disability? I'm worried that they will misinterpret some of what they see.
You know, John, this is a great question because insurance companies often use private investigators, especially in long-term disability claims. They are allowed to do so by law within certain parameters. For example, the private investigator can't interact with you. They can't come to you and speak with you. They can't come inside your home. They can follow you from a distance. They can Google you. They can look at social media. They can do things like that. And the reality is, Thea, that insurance companies are in the business not of paying claims, but of collecting premiums and finding excuses not to pay these claims or cutting off claims. And so the reality is that, yes, the investigators will try to come up with as many things as they can to show the insurance company, right, to justify why the insurance company hired them in the first place. And the insurance company, the adjuster dealing with the claim, is going to have to decide if that rises to the level of them thinking that you somehow lied to them or misrepresent your condition. But let me tell you this, as somebody who used to do insurance work, I used to work for insurance companies many years in the past. I used to order surveillance on claimants. This is, again, in a former life. Very rarely did this surveillance produce anything of value. More often than not, much of the surveillance actually confirms the fact that the individual is disabled from working or injured, has an illness or whatnot. But that said, the insurance company, if they use it as a weapon against you, if they somehow, they tell you, look, we saw you walking to the grocery store, we saw you picking up your kids, any sort of thing, we saw you going to the gym, meanwhile your doctor told you to go to the gym, right, so that you can get better. If your insurance company tries to use surveillance as a weapon or as a way to intimidate you, you give us a call immediately. And John, you mentioned at the outset of the show, our website, the free website, LTD FAQ, Long-Term Disability Frequently Asked Questions. .ca. It contains those short memos. One of them is about surveillance, and it's the most commonly asked questions people ask us. It's in regular language. It's not legal language. feel free, go to our website, browse through the memos, go to surveillance, and you'll find information that's applicable to you. And if you have any more questions, Thea, feel free to contact us. After the show, I'll speak with you, colleagues of mine will speak with you for free, and we'll give you the information you need. But yes, you have to be cognizant that surveillance will be conducted throughout the life of your claim, but not every day. It's very expensive. When I ordered surveillance, this was years and years ago, it cost us about $1,000 a day to get an investigator.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. We're in the wrong profession.
Yeah, big time.
It cost a lot of money to get a private investigator to do surveillance. So typically insurance companies will do several days at a time. They may do a few days here and there, but they're not going to put somebody on you 365 days a year. That would be insanity on their end. They're just trying to see if there's anything that they can gather by way of evidence to try and intimidate you or justify a potential cutoff.
Okay, based on that cost and the limited time they're willing to dish that kind of coin for it, I can imagine they're going to squeeze every drop out of there trying to find something to accuse you of. They want to get their money's worth, no?
Yes, and sometimes they'll try and gaslight you, and we've had that happen before. People come to us and they say, look, they conducted surveillance, it doesn't show anything, but I'm trying to rethink. Maybe I'm not supposed to get LTD.
Right.
Meanwhile, you're looking at the medical documents, at what is hindering them from working, their illness or injury or whatever it is. You're looking at the surveillance, and there's no issue, there's no contradiction. Meanwhile, the adjuster is saying, aha, we saw you going and picking up your kids, and so therefore you're not disabled. Meanwhile, you're suffering from PTSD or depression or anxiety, nothing to do with you being able to walk across the street to pick up your kids. So my point is, many people who are cut off due to surveillance simply choose to accept it without challenging the insurance company and understanding that insurance companies are often wrong when they're making those determinations. And so people say, what can I do about it? Well, you can contact us. Won't cost you anything. We will simply look at everything, and within a few seconds, minutes at most, we will tell you if you have a case against the insurance company. And if you have a case, if the insurance company is wrong, guess what? We're not going to pressure you. It's up to you. You'll decide what you want to do. We can help you force the insurance company to pay you what you're owed, but it'll be up to you. The point is, we've empowered you by giving you the information you need, by giving you the legal analysis, and by just showing you, just taking the varnish off, right? Just showing you how the case is legally. So the insurance company can't just tell you X when it's really Y.
And I guess basically if you're doing what you're supposed to do, what you've been told to by your doctor, you're not doing anything wrong that you shouldn't be doing or sneaky. Who cares if they surveil you 365 days a year? You're doing what you're supposed to do and you have nothing to fear, so ignore it, really.
So on the one hand, I agree with you, John.
Right.
I absolutely agree. If you have nothing to hide, then
Right.
So be it. On the other hand, you have to understand that for people, especially in a situation, psychological situation
Right.
that they're in, it's unnerving.
To be watched.
To be watched and to see a car across the street and to think that there's someone there that's just watching you, watching your family, your kids. Unfortunately, you can't stop the insurance company from doing this if they're going to do it. But the reality is that, and I've seen this many times before, is that people have seen surveillance when there was no surveillance. We've confirmed with the insurance company that there was no one there, or at least that car you saw outside your street for a week, it's not surveillance.
Yeah.
The point is this. You are correct in that if you have nothing to hide, if you are in fact disabled from working, do not fear. And if there is surveillance, and even if the insurance company says, yeah, we surveilled you and we have evidence that you are lying, let's see it. Let's see it. I've even gotten surveillance from the insurance company and have had to ask for the full tape because they've only sent me clips. And when you see everything in context, it doesn't show what the insurance company says it shows.
Right.
So my point is there's ways to hit back at the insurance company. Don't simply take whatever they say as gospel. Certainly don't walk away from your rights. Don't walk away from money that's owed to you.
Coming up, what you should and should not do if you are denied LTD. We'll get to that after a short break, so stick around. Reaching out to Sivan and crew, easy, 1-855-821-5900. And that email address, help@disabilityrights.ca. We're coming right back. Stick around. People think contractors aren't owed severance. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. Many contractors are actually employees and are entitled to full severance pay. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca. How do you force insurance companies to pay long-term disability claims?
Insurance companies deny legitimate claims all the time. They're playing the odds. They know that most people are just going to walk away.
Your insurer may ignore you, they may even ignore your doctors, but they can't ignore us.
We know how insurance companies work. We know their weaknesses. We know how to use the legal process to force them to pay you what you're owed.
Go to disabilityrights.ca. Discover your rights, fight back, and get what you're owed. People think you are only owed 2 weeks' pay when you lose your job. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. You may be owed much more than 2 weeks per year. Don't settle for less. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca. Alrighty, welcome back. Disability Law Show. Good to have you with us this week again. Sivan Tumarkin, co-founding partner, Samfiru Tumarkin LLP. You want to reach out? You can anytime, 1-855-821-5900. Help at disabilityrights.ca. And as we mentioned in the first segment, quick, concise, easy to read, informative memos all about LTD. LTDFAQ.ca, and they can cover you across this country and help you out outside of Quebec. They're set to go. Let's get into this event, what you should and should not do if you are denied long-term disability. Key points here, want to expand on each one. First of all, do not panic. No. Instead, call you immediately and you will explain to you your options for free. Just take a step back.
This is key because the first reaction anyone has when they are denied long-term disability or they get that letter that says your payments will be cut off is they panic.
Oh, big time.
And I understand completely why. Imagine, John, you're relying on this money, you can't work, you have bills coming, you have rent or you have a mortgage, many people have kids and have those expenses, food bills. You are panicking, and I understand that completely, which is why contacting us is the first thing you need to do because we're going to put your mind at ease. We're going to look through everything, and it's going to be very quick. We're not talking about, like a specialist appointment where we're going to talk to you in 5 months. We're going to talk to you very quickly. Someone from our office will reach out to you as soon as you reach out to us. We're going to explain to you exactly what your options are. And John, if you've ever had, and I hope you haven't, but if you've had a medical condition that was serious, certainly I've had people in my family with medical conditions that were serious, you panic, but that panic subsides a bit once you speak with a doctor that tells you, here's a menu of options.
Right.
They may not be the best options, right? Depends on situations, but they give you an options. They give you a certain confidence to understand what you're dealing with. And it's the same thing when it comes to the law. People feel naked and vulnerable when it comes to insurance companies because they feel like they have no protection. There's no shield.
Big bad insurance company.
Insurance companies are supposed to be there to protect you. And everyone knows that, unfortunately, that doesn't happen. And listen, for the few people that have had a positive experience, those are outliers, unfortunately, at least from what I hear and from everything that I have seen myself, both in my practice and in a personal life. So I can tell you that when people call us, when I spend an hour and a half, 2 hours with them, whether it's in person, pre-COVID, now generally by phone, by Zoom, whatever it is, and I explain everything, you see a relief. You see them in a state of relief, not because the issue is gone, but because now they have the knowledge.
Perspective. Right?
Perspective and context and understand how to deal with it. So do not panic. Call us. Call us. It's going to cost nothing to speak with us. That's the other thing, by the way. For many people in the past, speaking with a lawyer, like, okay, how much money am I going to have to pay? I don't have any money coming in. You don't have to pay us anything. You're going to speak with a lawyer, a member of my team, someone that has experience in this, whether it's myself or someone else, depends on who you get at a particular time. But we're going to explain to you all your options. Don't worry about it. And then you will know what to do. And trust me, the panic will subside.
What you should and should not do if you're denied LTD. So first one, do not panic. Number two, you should continue getting your treatment and continue that regimen and contact your doctors to ensure that they support you being off work. That's key too, yeah?
It is key, and it goes hand in hand with the first point, which is do not panic. And the reason why we tell people continue with your treatment, it seems logical and it means, it seems common sense, but some people, they get so frozen because they're so shocked by the denial of the insurance company of their benefits that they simply don't know what to do. So I'm telling you what to do. You continue with whatever treatment recommendations your doctors have given you. You continue pursuing those. At the same time, you speak with your doctor. Whoever it is that said that supported you being off work, family doctor, psychologist, chronic pain specialist, whoever it is, make an appointment, speak with them, explain what's going on, about the denial of the claim perhaps, explain to them that you're unable to work. I mean, they would have heard about this by now because they supported you being off work. And just make sure that they're still on side. As long as that they're on side with you and you continue your treatments, we are set to go to challenge the insurance company, and challenge we will.
Number three, we talk about this all the time, but it keeps coming to the fore because it happens all the time. You should not appeal that denial if it comes your way. You'll most likely be denied again and again.
Yes.
And again.
You know, John, for people who have been watching our show for years now, they've heard us, talk about this nonstop. Look, these appeals, when an insurance company denies your claim, and by the way, that's not just long-term disability, that's in essentially any insurance context that I have seen. Life insurance, house insurance, car insurance, travel insurance, they always tell you, look, we've denied your claim for so-and-so reason or reasons, you now have the option of appealing. What they don't tell you is that you're appealing to us, the exact same people who denied you in the first place. And what they're not telling you is that, and again, anecdotally from my experience and the experience of my colleagues, they deny virtually every one of these appeals, based on our experience.
Right.
Are there some that get overturned? Yeah, just like there are some people who win the lottery. We see people like that occasionally. But I can tell you that I have been asking repeatedly for insurance companies to disclose statistics of how many of these appeals are actually successful.
Right.
And to date, after all these years, no one is producing any statistics.
They haven't.
And they must
For
have
sure
them.
they have it.
Can you imagine insurance companies not keeping statistics about that? Of course they do. So, if you appeal those decisions, the reality is you will likely be denied for this reason or that reason, and you will end up wasting time, valuable time. You'll be frustrated. You will be gaslighted into thinking that perhaps you don't have a claim, a legitimate claim for LTD, and you are potentially going to give up, and you should not. And I have seen, John, people giving up on claims years and years ago, and now we can't help them because they're beyond that 2-year limitation period, where I've calculated their benefits to have been worth close to $1 million. And they simply gave up on those, not because they wanted to, but because they thought they were out of options. And that's my point. The best option is not appealing. The best option is speaking with us, and we can explain to you the legal option. The legal option is the most powerful option because it takes power away from the hands of insurance companies and puts them in the hands of a potential judge. Not that your case will ever go in front of a judge. That's the other thing here. Mm-hmm. Most of these cases never, ever go to court because insurance companies are definitely afraid of going to court. They understand that in many cases they will get hammered. And in some cases, and there was one that came out, I think it was a month or two ago, in Ontario, where an insurance company was struck not only with an award against it for the actual benefits, but with a 7-figure punitive damages award to punish them for their conduct. Wow. So again, do not panic, continue your treatments, do not appeal, give us a call. It'll cost nothing to speak with us.
There's also another way to reach out. Call mydisabilityquestions.com. Again, a free and anonymous website for you to ask your questions. We're going there right after a break. But that phone call that Sivan mentioned, you can always make that 1-855-821-5900. We'll continue with more of the Disability Law Show.
People think you have to sign back a severance offer by a deadline. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. Deadlines are used as a pressure tactic. Make sure the offer is fair before you sign. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca. Can insurance companies deny long-term disability claims for mental illness?
When you're suffering from a mental health disability, insurance companies just don't understand. But we do.
They can absolutely not force you back to work. If your doctors say you are not ready and you know you're not ready, they cannot make you go back to work.
If you have a mental health disability and your claim is denied, don't give up. Give us a call and let us fight for you.
Go to disabilityrights.ca. Discover your rights, fight back, and get what you're owed. People think you aren't owed severance pay if you are fired for a reason. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. Most for-cause terminations are false, and you are still owed full severance. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca.
Alrighty, welcome back. Thank you so much for hanging in to the Disability Law Show. Want to get to a question. This comes from mydisabilityquestions.com. That's a free and anonymous website. You can use it anytime. It's also got a searchable database, right? So your question may have been asked once similar in the past. You can read it and walk away, save you some time. If not, leave it there, and Sivan or a member of his team will get to it. Jessica writes in, says, I've been on LTD and CPP disability for over 2 years with fibromyalgia and migraines. My insurance provider is sending me to one of their doctors for a mandatory medical assessment. My doctor told me that I need to remain off work, so I don't see the point of going. Do I have to attend?
The short answer, Jessica, is yes, you have to. Under most LTD policies, there is a requirement. I say most because I haven't seen every one of them.
Of course.
But there is a requirement to attend what's called an IME. An IME is an independent medical examination arranged for by the insurance company for you to be assessed by one of their own doctors or specialists or providers, whatever that is. Now, people like Jessica here would think, well, wait a second, I am disabled. I've been on LTD for over 2 years. We'll get to that in a second. Why is it that I need to go to one of these assessments? Well, because the policy that governs the relationship between you and the insurance company contains a provision that obligates you to comply with that kind of a request. And remember, the relationship you have with your insurance company when it comes to long-term disability is contractual. It's a contract. The policy is a contract, which means that there are obligations that you have vis-a-vis the insurance company and vice versa. And there are certain things you can expect and they can expect, again, of each other. Now, why is it important that Jessica is saying here that she's been on LTD for over 2 years? Because to get LTD, as we know, John, under most policies, you have to demonstrate with the help of your doctors that you cannot perform the essential tasks of your own occupation. Beyond the 2-year mark, the test changes. To get LTD beyond 2 years, again, under most policies, you have to demonstrate with medical confirmation that you cannot perform the essential tasks of any occupation for which you are suited for by training, education, or experience. So it's a more difficult test to meet. Now, let me go back here to this mandatory medical assessment, this IME. I mentioned IME. That's the reference to it, independent medical examination. Yeah. It's not independent. The insurance company has chosen the expert. The insurance company is paying that person. The report is being sent to the insurance company. It's not independent, okay? Insurance companies love to use words and make you think that they mean one thing, but they really are something else. So how about instead of independent medical examination, we call it dependent medical
exam. Yeah.
The point is this, Jessica, you have to go because the insurance policy obligates you to go. However, no matter what that assessment says, you have doctors or a doctor that is on your side that is going to rebut any contrary conclusions by this assessor.
For months or years, possibly.
For months or years, exactly. So if the insurance company comes back later and says, look, our doctor thinks that your doctor is wrong. Our doctor thinks you are not as disabled as you say. Our doctor thinks you're ready to go back to work. If you disagree with those conclusions, if your doctor disagrees with your conclusions, have your doctor go through that report and provide their own rebuttal. And that's it. And at that point, the insurance company is faced with contradicting reports, contradicting opinions, one from a treating doctor that I think carries a lot of weight if a judge were to see this case, versus a hired gun by the insurance company. Now, that's not going to stop John, an insurance company, from cutting Jessica off on the basis of that one-time doctor, the hired gun. Sure. But that doesn't mean that she doesn't have any options. In fact, we deal with those cases all the time, and we throw it back at the insurance company. We bolster up our medical opinions with the treating doctors, and we force insurance companies to do what is right and pay the claim.
Now, having to go to the assessment is mandatory. Now, if they say go to our treatment provider, different story.
Very different story.
Okay.
Unless, again, the policy says that the insurance company has the right to send you to a particular clinic for treatments, a particular doctor, and I have yet to see those kinds of policies. But unless it says that, no. Generally, what these policies contain is a provision that says that you have to undergo reasonable medical treatments.
That's fine.
And that means going to whoever is best suited to treat you and for you to continue getting those treatments in accordance with those recommendations. Again, John, as a general rule, you have any issues, you have any concerns, you give us a call and we'll talk to you about your specific case.
Keep up your treatments, keep up your medications, and you should be okay with your own doctor.
And don't take what the insurance company is saying. If they deny your claim, don't take that. Challenge it. Call us, we'll tell you if it's true.
Jessica, thank you. You're awesome. Appreciate you reaching out. MyDisabilityQuestions.com. That is available for you to use anytime as well. You want to reach out by phone? We're done for the day. 1-855-821-5900. Email is help@disabilityrights.ca. And way back at the beginning, we told you about LTDFAQ.ca. Short, concise, easy to use memos online, free and anonymous as well. LTDFAQ.ca. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time. This is a Disability Law Show. Have a great week.